At 11:47 p.m. on July 14, 2025, a convoy of armored vehicles belonging to the Sinaloa Cartel, packed with drugs, cash, and weapons, ripped through the Arizona desert like a storm racing toward the U.S. border. This wasn't just another smuggling run. It was a bold incursion, powered by enough firepower to obliterate anything that stood in its way. They thought the path was clear, that not a single American soldier would dare show up in this barren stretch of desert. But hidden in the shadows and watching from the skies, the deadly eyes and hands of the United States were locked in and ready. What happens when Mexico's most powerful drug traffickers unknowingly drive straight into a trap laid by SEAL Team 6 and the U.S. Air Force? Don't blink. Stay locked in until the secret is revealed. And don't forget to subscribe and drop your thoughts on this showdown in the comments below. At 11:47 p.m. on July 14, 2025, the southern Arizona desert rumbled with the thunderous roar of heavy diesel engines. Sand churned beneath cold white headlights, swirling into ghostly trails in the dark. In the still sweltering summer night, 14 armored pickup trucks and 3 heavy-duty transports from the Sinaloa Cartel closed in on the border. 5 .50 caliber machine guns were mounted on the rooftops, their metal glinting in the dark muzzles, sweeping side to side as if ready to tear through anything in their way. In the truck beds and cabs, more than 60 gunmen armed and paid to kill chattered constantly over radios, convinced this remote route had been cleared by local bosses. But high above, at over 26,000 feet, a United States Air Force MQ-9 Reaper had been tracking every mile of the convoy's movement since it left Hermosillo, Sonora, and crossed into this desolate land. Every red brake light that flashed, every radio signal transmitted, was recorded and sent immediately to the command center at Davis Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson. In the command station's dark war room, a 12-panel screen displayed a 3-dimensional map, thermal images, and live data from the UAV, where officers from SEAL Team 6, the Air Force, and the DEA silently watched, waiting for the perfect moment to spring the meticulously prepared trap. Over the past 72 hours beyond the cartel's detection, an AC-130 Ghostrider quietly circled its 30mm and 105mm cannons locked on target, carrying flares and laser-guided munitions ready to receive the order to fire. On the ground along the sheer cliffs of a narrow canyon located 8 kilometers from the border, 16 SEAL members lay prone. The order from the White House was clear: capture or eliminate all of them. Don't let anything cross the border. At the chosen choke point, seismic sensors buried deep in the sand detected the first vibrations as the lead pickup truck rolled past. Infrared cameras hidden in rock crevices recorded the growing heat signatures as the vehicles filed into the canyon. Through encrypted headsets, the commander's voice was clear and concise. Hold your fire. Wait until they are completely in the kill zone. High above, just a few dozen meters from the convoy, the desert wind whistled through the yucca bushes, while on the ground, the Sinaloa steel snake crawled deeper into the kill zone, unaware that every escape route had been sealed long ago. The chosen canyon was no coincidence. It was a 600-meter-long narrow stretch enclosed by 40-meter-high cliffs with natural rock crevices large enough to conceal people and weapons. The ground was a gravel road just wide enough for 2 vehicles to pass. The GPS signal was naturally weak due to the terrain blocking the waves, giving a clear advantage for electronic warfare. Over the past 7 days, the SEAL Team 6 reconnaissance team had surveyed every inch, marking combat positions with infrared reflective paint visible only through special glasses. Over the past 72 hours, U.S. forces had been tracking the convoy with both low-altitude RQ-20 Puma drones and high-altitude MQ-9 Reapers combined with low-orbit satellites to update every route change. Thermal images showed the vehicles operating at maximum capacity, with high heat signatures coming from the cargo bays, possibly from electronic devices, and small internal combustion engines, likely generators tied to the shipment. At the mobile command center in Davis, Monthan, the 12-panel screen displayed a three-dimensional map of the area live data from the UAV's intercepted radio signals and alternative routes the enemy might take. Each time the convoy changed its speed or formation, a liaison officer updated the AC-130J crew on optimal firing solutions. They moved at a speed of about 60 kilometers per hour, with no reconnaissance vehicles too far ahead. The gunmen sat exposed in the truck beds, ready to unleash a volley of fire if they encountered rival gangs or robbers, but completely dismissing the possibility of facing U.S. forces, which they had long believed to be impossible in this area. From above, the AC-130J Ghostrider maintained a wide orbit out of radar or visual detection, but its 30mm and 105mm cannons were pre-aimed. The optics slowly tracked each vehicle's roof, prioritizing targets based on thermal signatures and weapon shapes. On the canyon ridges, 16 SEALs divided into 4 teams, each responsible for a section of the kill zone, had their M4A1 and MK17 SCAR-H rifles locked onto their firing positions. The infrared scopes constantly scanned, while their noise-canceling headsets with microphones received direct orders from the commander. Meanwhile, an electronic warfare team deployed 2 small GPS jammers hidden in rock crevices, ready to disrupt any of the convoy's navigation devices, causing panic when the battle began. On the ground, seismic sensors and hair-thin laser wires camouflaged among the yucca and cacti detected each vehicle passing, providing precise data on vehicle type, weight, and timing to the command center. At 1:14 a.m., the lead pickup truck passed the first sensor point. A red dot appeared on the three-dimensional map, followed by the second, then the third, until all 17 vehicles gradually entered the canyon. In the command room, the atmosphere was tense, every eye glued to the kill zone path. The commander gave a short, clear order over the encrypted radio: hold fire, let them get deeper, block both ends. Thousands of steel balls tore through the tires, glass, and gun mounts on the 3 lead vehicles. The explosion threw 2 .50-caliber machine gun operators from their positions. The blast echoed, reverberating off the canyon walls, creating a thunderous roar through the desert. Almost simultaneously, from the pitch-black sky, the AC-130J Ghostrider opened fire with its 30mm Bushmaster cannons. Tracer rounds rained down, piercing the armored cabs and sending glowing shards of steel falling like rain onto the narrow road. The convoy erupted into chaos. Cartel gunmen jumped from the truck beds, seeking cover behind wheels or ditches. But both cliff faces lit up with small flashes from the M4A1 and MK17 SCAR-H rifles of SEAL Team 6. Every shot was deliberate, quickly neutralizing heavy weapon targets or those trying to regain the gun mounts. From the rear, a pickup truck tried to turn around, but was blocked by an armored vehicle behind it. Its front tire exploded, and the chassis collapsed, blocking the escape route. A high-pitched shriek from a laser-guided round from the AC-130J signaled a precision strike on a heavy weapon vehicle in the middle of the convoy. He was now in the armored cab of a Ford Raptor near the front of the convoy, his face clearly panicked as he yelled into his radio, receiving only static due to complete jamming. A 105mm round from the AC-130J landed less than 5 meters from his vehicle. The blast threw sand and gravel, shattering the windshield and forcing him to duck low in his seat. On the ground, a SEAL from Team 2 was hit by a flying shard of glass in the shoulder blood, soaking through his soft armor. A teammate pulled him into a rock crevice, reporting the injury over the priority channel. A few minutes later, the sound of an HH-60W combat rescue helicopter's rotor blades echoed from the north. The helicopter descended, using the darkness and cliffs as cover to evacuate the injured person without entering the enemy's line of fire. The cartel's resistance became sporadic. Some groups returned fire with AK-47s and handguns, but they didn't have the range to reach the SEAL positions. Others climbed onto the roofs of armored vehicles to operate the machine guns, only to become immediate targets for the snipers on the eastern ridge, where two SEALs with Mk-13 Mod 7 rifles had pre-calculated their shots. By 1:21 a.m., just 7 minutes after the first explosion, nearly half of the convoy was neutralized. The burning vehicles blocked the narrow road. Flames and smoke mingled with tracer rounds. Screams blended with the sound of clashing metal, creating a scene both violent and suffocating. On command, the AC-130J switched to suppressive fire using laser-guided rounds to eliminate the remaining pockets of resistance, while avoiding damage to the cargo intended for seizure. Every move was anticipated, every corner covered by at least one SEAL gun barrel under the flashing light of flares from the Ghostrider. The vehicles were torn apart, gun mounts broken, and the panicked figures formed a chaotic scene prey, realizing too late they had entered a tiger's den with every exit locked. On the western ridge, the previously positioned MQ-9 Reaper suddenly lowered its altitude, locked onto an intact ammunition vehicle at the rear of the convoy, and fired an AGM-114 Hellfire. The hot white streak pierced the metal roof of the vehicle, exploding violently. The blast and heat ignited all the ammunition inside, causing a chain of explosions that destroyed two nearby armored pickup trucks. Shards of steel shot off the cliffs like a rain of knives, neutralizing anyone taking cover nearby. The AC-130J continued to circle, destroying small pockets of resistance with precise 30mm bursts, preventing any attempts to rally or return fire. He was dragged from the driver's seat seconds after the window glass was shot out, handcuffed behind his back, with an encrypted laptop and two satellite phones confiscated on the spot. All weapons transaction data and internal communications were immediately secured for transport back to base. Meanwhile, other teams searched the intact vehicles, recovering dozens of AK-47s handguns, heavy machine guns, and the entire drug shipment worth hundreds of millions of dollars according to DEA estimates. Any gunman still resisting was immediately neutralized. Those who dropped their weapons and surrendered were tied up and removed from the battle. 27 minutes after the first explosion, the gunfire faded. The smoke and dust began to clear, leaving only the sound of American boots and radio chatter. The commander ordered a ceasefire. The AC-130J left its orbit, and the MQ-9 Reaper switched to long-range surveillance to ensure no cartel reinforcements approached. The entire drug shipment, weapons, and over $50 million in cash were secured by the DEA. A mobile screen replayed the UAV footage in the background, confirming that true power lies not in shooting first, but in waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and ensuring the enemy never has a chance to respond. For Sinaloa, this was more than a tactical defeat. It was a crack in their legend of invincibility at the border. For the U.S., it was a clear reminder that any transnational criminal organization crossing a red line can be stopped. The July 2025 ambush will be studied in tactical manuals as a classic example of patience, meticulous preparation, and multi-service coordination, wiping out a target in less than half an hour. The ambush on July 14, 2025 in the Arizona desert was not just a tactical victory against the Sinaloa Cartel. It was a living testament to the combined power of U.S. intelligence, patience, and superior military capability. From tracking the armored convoy with an MQ-9 Reaper to planting claymore mines and seismic sensors in the canyon, every step was calculated down to the second and the meter. When the first explosion rang out, the AC-130J Ghostrider and SEAL Team 6 coordinated seamlessly, cutting off all enemy resistance and retreat. The capture of El Gallo and his weapons transaction data dealt a direct blow to the cartel's command, shaking their sense of invincibility. This sent a clear message: The US can wait, watch, and strike when the enemy is most vulnerable. Americans can be proud of an armed force that is not only unmatched in firepower, but also superior in strategy, ready to defend every inch of land and border from any threat. The nation's leaders must continue to invest in surveillance technology, electronic warfare, and joint training. That is the key to this decisive victory. For the enemy, this is a warning in any desert, sea, or jungle. If you cross the US red line, you will face its full power from the sky, the ground, and the shadows, with no way out. This is not just a military operation. It is a declaration of America's will and ability to protect the country.